Good morning, everyone. This is Tom O'Hare and Shelley Honeycutt from Pivotal College Years. We're here to talk college before, during, and after. Shelley and I are involved in Pivotal College Years, an online college planning portal for families. You subscribe on a monthly basis for as maximum as you want or as minute as you want, and it's chock full of information that's available for parents and students, and a great resource for employers who are looking to maybe retain or recruit their employees through some added voluntary benefits. And we have an announcement that we're going to provide at the end of our program. So we're just here to talk a little bit about some of the things going on. Shelley, have you had a good warm week?
I have. It's been beautiful, taking advantage of it. The student schedules are changing dramatically this week. So it's been interesting, a lot of movement in my schedule this week because of that.
Yeah, we have a lot of graduations going on. They've become in person, which is nice.
Yeah.
So it's good to be coming out of the pandemic and COVID as much as we can be. So things happening this week that I've made a note of that I'm going to have us talk about, and some things that you have. One is for families that are actually sophomores becoming juniors. The whole financial aid calculation world is changing, and I just wanted to put it out there for everybody just to relax a little bit. There's some new rules coming for 2023-2024.
I think that's a good tip, Tom. Relax, right?
Relax, because even Shelley and I, before we started the program this morning, we're talking a little bit, and we're not 100% sure how all of these changes are going to apply. We've been in the business collectively for 30 to 35 years, and we've seen a lot of regulatory changes come through from the Department of Ed and Congress and the administration, and it does take some time for things to filter out. So I just want to put it out there. You're going to see a lot of scare tactics. You're going to see a lot of scary messaging from people who want to scare parents of college-bound students into making maybe some rash decisions about their finances, about some of the things coming down. So please just be patient and tune in to us, because we'll just put it out there, facts and opinions.
Right. And I think it's important that we, me and Tom, are in touch with some of the gurus in the industry and making sure that we understand and can digest and relate the information to families in the best way possible. And we'll be sure to be doing our homework to make sure we understand these formulas, and not that there are loopholes, but that there would be ways to approach them.
Yeah, it's all about the approach. Things will change. Things will supposedly get simpler, but as we try to get simpler, we also try to get sometimes a little bit more confused, and we want to help you with some of that confusion. So that's my my warning for our program today. Are you seeing some of your clients getting on college campuses now, Shelley, with the restrictions changing a little bit?
I am. I'm seeing colleges step up the amount of tours that they have. I would tell you the tour availability is going quick at some campuses because families are feeling good about getting out, getting on campus, and taking these tours predominantly in the summer, which is a little off on our schedule. As you know, normally a junior would be doing some February touring, some April touring, and then the summer campus always looks and feels different. So that's really not your top priority, but under our COVID cohorts, I'd like to call them, that it's the only option they really have. So they're getting out there, getting to campus, and scheduling their tours now, even into July and August. I would tell you, get these tours scheduled because they'll dry up quickly. I think it's important, but it's also exciting for them.
Yeah, there may be fewer students on campus because everybody's gone home,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still students taking summer courses. The administration and faculty are there planning for the future. So it's a great opportunity to, as I always say, stop someone in the courtyard or walking from building to building who has a shirt and tie on, or maybe just a college jersey, and talk to them. But yeah, we got to step it up because the colleges are now opening up their doors, and we want students to be there, including freshmen that are coming in for the September year orientation sessions, which last year were virtual and very difficult to do.
Right.
And many are now going to be in person. So families, go to those orientation sessions. There's so much to learn during them.
And many of the students that are left on campus in the summer are 3rd and 4th year students that are there for research or projects that they're getting involved in. So they've been on campus pre-COVID, and it's nice to get their perspective, as well as know that admissions can connect you to a student so that you can ask questions and get more familiar with the campus through students. The student perspective will be important for you to know.
A request that should be made every time you take a college tour or go to an information session: is there a student I can talk to? Is there a student in my prospective major or my interest that I can talk to? And even if they're at home, they are very willing to connect. I have a student here in Massachusetts that's going to be talking to a student in California because the student went home. So take advantage of all the opportunities as we're coming out of this pandemic. Thoughts on SATs and ACT panicking?
Well, I think in my private practice, I've seen more canceling of the June test than I've ever seen before, because students are overly stressed with what they've gone through with COVID, preparing for AP exams and projects at the end of the summer. So many students have opted to push out to the August test date, which I think is fine, right? But need to remember you'll be further away from your studies, so you'll have to get a plan together to do a little bit of incremental prepping before the August, I think it's August 26th date. It's the end of August anyways, to make this test worthy of your time, right? So making sure that you're using the Khan Academy, importing your last scores, whether they're SATs or PSATs, to feed you questions that you're not so great at, going after your weaknesses. It's a free tool. On our YouTube channel, there's actually a little video, 4-minute video, to show you how to link it if you don't know, but it's really easy to do. And I've seen that happening. Even ACT has a July test. They always traditionally have a July test. So that might be a better option for some students. I would just tell you, if you're not sure about taking the ACT or the SAT, ACT, in my opinion, you need to be a strong and quick reader to do well on that. So it could be your test. Maybe you could try it out over the summer. I would tell you, just don't pre-send your scores to any college, because if you have a bad day, only you know about it. Right?
Always hold those results in your vault.
Yes.
And start applying, then you can start revealing them. Or you can, if you're applying to a test optional school, you don't need to necessarily worry about them. In my practice, I want students to take the tests if they can arrange to take the tests in a stressless manner.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't drive 5 hours into another state to take the test, because
agreed.
We're going to continue to have 3,000 schools that will be test optional. They'll be looking at GPAs, going to be looking at grades. So I always try to caution: take the test if you can do it, but don't lose your head over not being able to, because even some of the schools that have in the past wanted it may continue not to. And we'll be keeping our eye and ears on how that landscape is changing as it moves forward.
I agree with that, Tom. And statistically, looking at my private practice this academic year, the female candidates that did not submit scores but had really great and deep transcripts really made out. So it was they were the big success stories this year. So you can do it without test scores, but you should definitely, if you're going to attempt to do that, make sure that your transcript is nice and strong.
Get a look at it. Get a look at it. Call guidance if you haven't talked to guidance. If you haven't visited them before you're leaving school this month, talk to guidance as to what your transcript might be showing.
Right. Tom, make sure these kids, here's the number one key before you set off for summer. Go to guidance, and if your school uses Naviance to request transcripts and recommendations, get your username and password, because you'll be then waiting for it until September, and it could be a little stressful. So before departing from school, make sure you gather that information.
Yeah, passwords, and keep them with your passport.
Yeah.
And you're soon to have driver's licenses. Many of you are getting on the road.
Yeah.
Getting your permits and getting your license. We have a population of students who have paused for a while and are now going to be coming back into the fold. We call them gap year. We call them deferred. We call them students who took this year off. I'm sort of positioning them in my head, in my practice, as the groundhog year, because they need to get into the application process, just like seniors coming out. Would you agree?
I do. I've had some students from this cohort decide to take a gap year, some interesting gap years. If you're going to do a gap year, do it well. Don't just waver around with no plan, because schools will pay attention to that. And you can always ask for a deferment for admissions. Most public schools won't give that to you any longer, but some private schools might, right? So that's something that you could ask for. Otherwise, you are stuck reapplying, right?
You're either going to reapply to the schools that you had looked at this year, or maybe step back and say, I'm going to look at things a little differently.
And that could happen.
Go about your process with a fresh eye, and apply to schools that maybe weren't in your initial list, or maybe in your first mix that might be in your second go around. But treat it the same way. If you're working, or if you're in a volunteer program, or you're in another type of lab experience, remember, you need to be getting your applications in for the next academic year, which I guess will be 22-23, just like seniors coming into their senior year this year. So don't lose that perspective. Don't fall behind because you are doing something different from September to May of this coming year.
My idea would be to get those applications in early, meaning early action, and then know that it'll help you with stress. It'll help you with merit aid typically. And it'll give you some peace of mind, because you'll know where you'll be next year earlier.
As we talk about before, during, and after, one of the other things I know we've mentioned before is the idea of health forms, legal documents, with regard to students who are going off to college campuses when they turn 18. Parents, when they turn 18, they're adults. They'll always be little kids in our mind, but they turn adults, and some very important things happen in that the healthcare industry can't talk to you anymore. Physicians can't talk to you as a parent of an 18-year-old anymore. The colleges have restrictions on what type of information they can provide. So what are some of those helpful forms, Shelley, that they should be getting their arms wrapped around?
Well, number one, I would say download the immunization forms from the college that your student will be attending, and get them to your physician, their physician early, because these doctors' offices are backed up. You cannot be on campus without those forms. And proof, especially proof of certain immunizations. So I would say get them there early. The other thing that could cost you is the healthcare waiver form, as we know. That has to be filled out every year. And many times going into your freshman year, parents don't understand that. So proof, it is the college's form. Sometimes it's electronic, sometimes it's a form that you fill out. but make sure you get that into the school by their deadline. Many times it comes out in June, but there'll be a deadline, probably end of July or beginning of August, and then they will charge you, as you know, Tom. So that would be one form. And I know that you always tell your private clients this, the FERPA, and I think that's a fantastic thought. I've even had schools, even if the student is under 18, they force the parent to sign a FERPA.
Yeah, so the FERPA is the form that the colleges, well, it's through the federal government. The colleges need that document on file signed by the student and the parent. And it provides permission for the bursar's office, the financial aid office, the campus security office, the
Academic advising.
academic advising, to have a two-way conversation with a parent about your student when they're on campus. I know you think it's crazy, we're paying the bill, but they won't talk to us. You need the FERPA to have there, so it makes it very easy. So parents, talk to your students as they're going off. Generally, I've found that during orientation, they talk about that particular document. They also talk about the health waiver for insurance that you just mentioned.
Right.
The other important documents that I bring to mind is through a family lawyer that you may have who can help you with the HIPAA and a legal power of attorney.
Right.
Especially very important when they're going out of state. You don't want to be driving 5 hours in panic to try to get to your kid in a school because they had an accident, they had an issue, and you can't talk to the physician. So get a HIPAA form put in place.
Absolutely.
Do it so you have them all ready and filed with the school before September, before they come on campus.
Great idea.
Important documents.
Absolutely. The other thing I would mention is many times students are surprised that they have to take a aptitude test with the school. It's not going to harm you. It's just going to help them place you either in English or math. Some students are waived from that, but know that you're not going to be able to pick your classes until that's done. And many times you can take it from home online, but make sure that gets done as well.
Yeah. So students going off in September, parents of students going off in September. The job's not done yet. There's forms that need to be dealt with, and the placement test. The other big thing is making sure that you have your financing in place.
Right.
Bills are coming. Bills will be coming as early as the end of June, if not July. So you need to have, as they say, you need to have the bill resolved. That's the key word that they use, resolved, in order for your sons and daughters to get their swipe card or their key to the dorm, to register for classes and start their experience. So make sure if you need a private education loan to help cover the gap in financing, start getting it now. Find your lender, get your documents in place, and get that financing or use a payment plan. We have on the Pivotal College Years a checklist that's going to be able to provide you with some of that information. Shelley, there you go.
Nice. Yeah, nice, simple, and easy.
Yeah, and it's going to give you some guidelines on the various things that you need to take in place, to get in place, plus some added information about the loan programs and some of the interest rates.
We have we have a downloadable to the new interest rates for the federal loans, how to put them in place. And also it tells you the fees associated with each loan, which when you look on the Department of Ed's website, they never have it collectively in one spot. So we put it in one spot for you.
Yeah. Collectively, there's about 12 lenders across the country that are providing private education loans.
Mm-hmm.
So by all means, there's resources available. The important thing is to nail down your financing as soon as possible. So check out the checklist on Pivotal College Years. Another reason to look at Pivotal College Years as a resource, even though your college planning is over and students are going off to school, it is there with information while students are in school, and especially afterwards. So yeah, we're here.
Right. And with the FAFSA changes too, you might want to tune in so that you can be aware of things before they happen.
Yeah, we'll be
absolutely.
I think that the last thing that I have on my script notes is to talk about the fact that federal loans are going to be coming out of the frozen phase in September.
Correct.
And we want to make sure that students and parents who have been paying on their loans start keeping an eye towards what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know if the government's going to extend the freeze again, if they're going to do something with the interest rates, they're going to cancel some loans. We are all reading and seeing about, forgiveness of balances. I don't know how your crystal ball is reading, Shelley.
From what I'm seeing, I'm about 60% likely that they will extend the freeze even till December. It'll be a short little snippet. But even if they don't, I think you're right. If you're paying on the loan, I would be looking at downloading some of the loan summaries, and seeing if you are being charged interest, because student loan originators or student loan holders are not always perfect. So make sure that you're not being charged the interest. I've had a couple of issues with that. So I would be taking a look at it and thinking about, if you haven't been making the payments, how are you going to? Because eventually it's going to become unfrozen, and how will you deal with that, right?
Right. And refinancing is a popular thing. So you're able to do some research now on refinancing the loans. Remember, a federal loan refinanced to a private lender, all of the benefits that you currently have or that might be extended in the future will be eliminated or will be lost. So treat those decisions very strongly. The other is be very cautious of those phone calls that come in from organizations that will help eliminate your debt, help consolidate your loans. They're charging a fee. To do that, the FTC ruled recently against 2 companies in Florida for doing it.
Yes.
And we just want you to be aware. Talk to your current loan servicer, your current lender. They'll be able to help you, guide you to someone that could help refinance your loans for sure. They don't want the loan to go past due. They don't want it to go into default. So
I would tell you, Tom, if you go into the federal loan, studentloans.gov, now they've redone it again, and it will show you and walk you through some of the options very well. I like what they've done with the site. So it's pretty intuitive, and always reach out to your professionals. Like maybe you have a free financial planner at work, or you work with one once in a while, or a CPA that does your taxes, and just show them what you're thinking about doing, and just get some of their feedback as well. Incorporate that into your what you're considering, right? Because they deal with finances every day. So
planning going now.
Right.
Finally, Shelley has written a very, very nice college essay workbook.
Thank you.
Available on Pivotal College Years for everyone who is subscribing, has access to it. So it's a great tool for seniors now who are going to be getting their application going. Take a look at the workbook. If you are a AAA member, or you're up here in the Northeast and you're a member or patron of the Wilmington Library,
right,
through your free subscription that those 2 organizations offer you, you too can have access to the workbook. So it's something that I know that she and I are dedicated to, or looking to produce more workbooks for students on different subjects. So thoughts on your workbook?
31 pages, and it's mostly structured brainstorming. And it's a culmination of the work we've done with students over the last 12 years within the private practice, and also closely looking at the top essay coaches in the nation and some of their practices that have and activities that have worked with the students that they coach on a national level, and working that into what has worked for our students. I think the best piece is that there are samples of essays from this year that students have allowed us to share, and they can see students that have been accepted into Harvard, Stanford, Villanova, Cornell, Boston College, and the essays that they have written that have won them, helped to win them those acceptances. So it's pretty exciting. And I think you'd be highly surprised about the types of essays that they write that get them noticed. It's pretty interesting approach.
It's all about the creative writing and the story being told.
Right.
So take a look at that. We want to thank you for listening, for engaging us today. We'll be back in a couple weeks to talk college again with Pivotal College Years. And for sure, take a look at the website. And if you like it, subscribe and take advantage of some of the material available. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Tom. Have a good day.